The president for this work in the standing committee is going to speak on this point. His name is Rodney Steele.
With our criteria in hand, we made on-site visits and came to the conclusion that is stated in the petition: 5 new bishops for Africa beginning in 2020. We've been asked, if the need is so great, why wait until 2020? To use an analogy, if you throw a pebble into the lake, it will make ripples. If you throw a lot of big rocks at one time, they will make waves. This will make a big impact on our budget, and GCFA will need the time and the mandate to prepare for the funding. This is not a request to study the issue for 4 more years. If approved, it becomes a mandate to prepare for 5 new bishops in Africa beginning in 2020.
I really want to commend the Standing Committee for really coming up with a plan that will require more time, more study, so that we will come up with a plan and result that will be effective for ministry in order to sustain the growth in the central conferences.
The need in Africa is much larger for these 5 bishops. I think we need these five bishops in Africa, and with a comprehensive plan we will have an effective structure and bishops, and then we can look in the other regions of the world. It's the most need is in Africa at the moment.
And I was impressed by the work of the Standing Committee. They have done a very thorough research, and I think their main finding is we need more bishops in Africa. There's no doubt about it, but we also need an infrastructure that makes their work possible and effective. So to have a committee with a majority of Africans looking into this for the next 4 years and then coming back with a proposal of how to make our church in Africa more sustainable and more effective in their infrastructure, I think is just ideal, and I'm glad there was a big majority for this yesterday on the floor.
The women are excited about it. Clergy women or lay women are excited. We are all happy about the growth of the church, and it's a challenge.
The notion of 5 new bishops in one quadrennium at once on a church budget that's already strained, I think is flawed. Had we done 2 now, 3-4 years from now would be a softer landing. And so I can see the 2020 General Conference really heavily tasked unless GCFA and the Standing Committee provide some way to secure funding to accommodate 5 at once.
Initially, my reaction is a celebration because there's growth. Because there's growth, we need to increase the number of bishops. But my sadness is that I wish that we also have an additional bishop in the Philippines. Earlier on, I requested that with the 5 increase of bishops, I requested 1 for the Philippines and 4 for Africa, and I thought that it would push through. Now, all these 5 bishops go to Africa.
Our denomination is really struggling to deal with the Africa and Central Conference issue, especially in Africa. And I believe 4 years from now, this problem will be compounded when Southeast Asia, which is already growing like wildfire, and I personally predict that in 3 quadrennia, that will be the epicenter of church growth in United Methodism, and we have not even begun to address episcopacy for there. And all of those things will converge in 2020. So we won't be talking 5 bishops in Africa. We may be talking at least 2 in Asia also.
Methodism is growing in many countries in Asia, but you see, the bishops supervising these new mission initiatives are Americans. They belong to the American church. So why not take advantage of the presence of United Methodism in the Philippines, and the leaders in the Philippines will also exercise leadership, especially in Southeast Asia, because you can mention Vietnam, Mongolia, Laos, and many other parts.